What's up, everybody? Welcome back to your favorite New York Jets subscription podcast, Badlands. I'm your host, Joe Caporoso, joined as always by Connor Rogers. Jets-Giants week. We're going to talk joint practice. We're going to preview week 2 of the preseason. We're going to talk a little bit about the Breece Hall rumors that just will not go away. And we're going to answer a few of your Discord questions. This is the next to last podcast we're going to do before the live show. So the big day, it's almost here. CR? How you doing? How you feeling? Are you still on the high from Saturday night? The great preseason performance of our lifetime?
It kind of feels like that, and then you had, joint practice today, which is always going to be kind of a bit of a rock fight, as you'd say, it feels like, and we'll get into all of it. It feels like both defenses really showed up for the most part. And, obviously the Giants have some big time talent on that roster as well that will match up well with the Jets and vice versa. But yeah, I mean, it's the most buzz I have felt, which is funny because it was week 1 of the preseason, but I did the film room and the comment section was just jumping.
The vibes are back, like that.
It felt like it set a really, really good vibe with the team right now, probably when they needed it most. So, and Glenn's kind of brought some heat to the press conferences lately. He's just relishing and loving every bit of having this job. So, yeah, let's keep it rolling right now.
It's a week ago. We were recording at this time, and it was literally only 7 days ago. The vibes were in full panic, right? Fields was coming off 3 tough days of throwing the football. There were concerns about injuries stacking up or the Jets too physical in camp. Mason Taylor back on the field today. Quinnen Williams back on the field today. Braylon Allen on the field. Malachi Moore on the field. Effectively, everyone of consequence is out there except for Isaiah Davis, who seems to have a minor injury, and maybe that allows the Jets to take a bit of a longer look at Donovan Edwards in the first half. It's not like Davis is going anywhere. He's going to make the team. Fields has played better, right? He wasn't perfect, but he's played much better and played well against the Packers. And just like that, everyone's feeling a little better. Good perspective, I think, on the ups and downs of training camp that are inevitably going to happen when you're installing new things. What I found kind of somewhat out of left field, I guess there were some nascent reports around it, is all the Breece Hall discourse kicked back up after this game. And if you take a bigger step back, Braylon Allen had a really nice 11-yard run on a perfectly block play. We love Isaiah Davis more than anyone. His highlight of the game was pretending to catch the ball on Fields' scramble. He had like 3 carries or 4 carries for 14 yards or something. I know because he didn't hit my underdog over. Thank you, Mike Davis. So it's not like either of those guys went out, ran for 270 yards. Donovan Edwards had a really nice game, but it was against the Packers' 4 stringers. Breece, I don't think it's debatable that maybe he left a couple of yards in the field in a preseason game. I'm trying not to overthink this. I think the Jets are, and my stance hasn't changed, the Jets are very light on offensive playmakers. I don't think they should change who I'd argue is either their first or second best offensive playmaker. Let's call him their second best behind Garrett right now. He's the second best receiver on the team. He's still the best running back on the team. And as excited as we are about Allen and Davis, and both of us are well-known stockholders in both Allen and Davis, I do not see the rush to be trading Breece Hall right now. I think you keep him. You see how the season plays out. You're probably franchise tagging him or coming up with some other type of short-term solution. It feels like a way just to kick the roster in the balls to trade him right now for what? A 4th-round pick, a 5th-round pick? I want to remind people, again, for all the concerns about Breece, he's averaged 4.6 yards per carry for his career. Braylon Allen averaged 3.6 yards per carry last year. Isaiah Davis ran for 120 yards last year. We like their potential. All of a sudden, you start moving everyone up the depth chart. It looks a little scarier than it does now, and it already looks scary. Because again, Breece Hall is the second best receiver on this team right now until I see otherwise. Why has this kicked back up? And is it simply a function of people like us and many other people being so excited about Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis and now a little bit of Donovan Edwards, who is the most popular player on Twitter right now? I'm happy for him, but it's one preseason game. That people are just like, well, why do you need all these running backs? Trade him now. I don't get it, and I don't think he's going to be traded. And I think if they were going to trade him, they would have traded him draft weekend.
Yeah, it's not happening now. I would be on my surprise factor. This would be up there for me if they traded him right now. I don't really know what purpose that serves unless a team called you and an offer, blew you away, where the logical thing is if you're going to trade Breece before he goes to free agency after this year, assuming he does. The Jets still have the power to franchise tag him if they wanted to, if he had a great season. Then the deadline comes into play, which the NFL trade deadline has picked up a little bit over the years compared to the barren wasteland it used to be. But I agree with you. This isn't the time for that conversation. And it has spiraled a little bit out of control. I think it's one of those things where the pendulum just swung so far the other way really quickly, where it was like, hey, the Jets have something here with some depth on their running back depth chart with Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis, guys that have a little bit of a different skill set. Obviously Braylon is a bruiser. Isaiah Davis is kind of a little bit of the jack of all trades, which the Jets don't really have that. Brees has been a little bit of a high variance player, not just because of his health, but he's a guy that can hit the explosive play that not everybody is capable of. He's also a guy that sometimes lacks the confidence and misses the hole and can, when you should get 5, might get you 2. So I think that it is a little bit so much like the Jets like Braylon Allen, right? And this staff from Detroit believes in the philosophy of a multi-back system. So that doesn't, then the drawing conclusions part is, well, they could just move on from Breece Hall. And it kind of feels like treating it like running backs are a dime a dozen, when in reality right now, the Jets can't look at any playmaker like that, especially like you said, the kind of pass catcher that Breece is, because this passing game, it's thin, right? We know how good Garrett Wilson is. We're pretty high on what Mason Taylor can be as you need to be fair. He's still a rookie tight end who's coming off an ankle sprain. If Mason Taylor is an average starting tight end this year, then that's a big win for you. But I think this whole situation of just, now you could trade Breece Hall because you like the look of your backup running backs. That's you're right. It's not even a good way to run a team. I don't think the Jets are looking at it this way right now. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I think this is a lot of chatter about nothing at the moment. Could we revisit this at the trade deadline if one of two things happen? The team is struggling and they feel like they're going to move on from Breece, so get an asset now, because I've said this before on this show, running backs don't factor into the compensatory pick formula too much because they just don't get the contracts that other positions do. So that's, obviously number one. And then number two is the fact that, if the team is starting to kind of shift a little bit to the younger guys in the backfield, knowing that they're the future, then yeah, but you don't know that right now. And the Jets if you go to practice, the Jets aren't operating that way. Breece is heavily involved in the starting offense. So yeah.
And they've been very vocal about how they want to use him as a route runner and how they talked about wanting to keep him for the show.
Yeah, and it's not lip service. Like if you're out of practice, you see them doing things like that. So yeah, this is something that just took on a life of its own.
Yeah, I think everyone sit tight. If the Jets start 0-5 and things are getting really ugly, is that something that they could seriously consider? Maybe. I feel like Breece will be here all this season, and then the Jets will take a look at what they want to do next offseason. And I think, as you said, the pendulum has swung maybe a little too far in people being down on him. I understand, go have an 1,000-yard season. Go actually catch the 60, 70 passes and be the guy we want you to be in the screen game. I know it's been a little underwhelming at times the last 2 years. There were still plenty of moments last season where there's certain things he could do that nobody else in this roster can do. And I don't see the Jets in a position to pass on that right now. We're going to save a lot of our joint practice review for War Room. We're going to have Will hop on, who was in Florham Park today, and we'll talk through what happened today, or what happened last night if you're listening to this Wednesday morning, what's going to happen today and what to look for in the preseason game. Before I get to the Discord questions, I want to stay on the offensive side of the football. I was happy with how Arian Smith played upon rewatch in a limited role. I thought what encouraged me about what he did wasn't running by ex-Jet great Isaiah Dunn on what should have been probably a touchdown with a better throw. It was a third down rep he had where he was able to run a very simple spot route and slide into an open spot in the zone, catch the ball, get upfield, over the middle of the field, and get a first down, which is not a sexy thing, but a really important thing for a receiver to be able to do in the NFL if they're going to play any type of significant role. So he looked a little more comfortable than I expected. I don't want to get too over the skis because it's the first preseason game, and I think he is going to have a very specific and limited role But when I look at how this receiver depth chart is going to be sorted out, you got Lazard in a sling. Does that factor into the Jets' decision making with anything? It almost feels silly to be talking about Corley at this point. I don't see any way or reason he makes the roster. It feels like Pritchett's pulling away from Gibson as sort of that specific role, the short guy who catches punts and is a backup receiver with the funky number. And then, the rest of it, Tyler Johnson kind of feels not head and shoulders, but a bit ahead of the upside you might see of a Smith or Skinner because he's a pro. He can run routes. He can catch the ball. He can start for a game or two without sort of falling off a cliff. I guess, are you getting a little more potentially bullish on what Arian Smith might be able to bring into this offense as a role player behind Josh Reynolds and behind Garrett Wilson? Or is there just really not going to be enough targets where even if he's a little smoother and well-adjusted, then we expect that a good year for him is just like 18 catches and a couple bombs and here or there? What did you see from him and the receivers in watching the tape for the game?
Well, we'll start with Arian Smith because I think that's what a lot of people are wondering about. And I totally agree with your assessment that that's the more impressive play that we know, right? Like it's almost the don't count it twice rule. What do you know about Arian Smith? That he's more often than not the fastest player on most fields he steps on, right? Like that is his calling card. So that's really good. Finishing plays is something that he needs to work on. And honestly, the nuances of the game, I think that is something Arian Smith has become, like the discussion points have become with him, hey, this guy is really fast. He was drafted over a lot of receivers that other draft analysts and even teams liked better. So it was a little bit controversial from that aspect. And he, he has way too many drops. When I thought the combo with Arian Smith was, he's a sub 180 pound receiver that pretty much in Georgia's offense, it was like throw it to him deep, try to hit him on this little quick out when they would give him way too much cushion that I honestly didn't think had a lot of nuance and tempo in it. So that's like something that should be a free 6 yards. When they're playing 11 to 12 yards off of you and you run that quick out, and Carson Beck wasn't great last year, but Arian Smith had his communication problems and route problems as well. I thought they should have finished more of those plays. And then they would throw him screens. But the problem was he is so light that sometimes he would really get lit up. Like you see these wide receivers. Him away at MetLife Stadium in November. You see some of these wide receivers. A lot of teams now, they like to throw their screens to guys that can run through arm tackles. It's not really as much, even Tyreek, like people will be like, well, Tyreek Hill's really fast and he could be like a screen merchant at times. He is so compact and he's actually
hard to tackle.
He's hard to tackle. Right. Think low to the ground, thick. Arian Smith is not short. He is not short. He's just slender. So he wasn't really an effective weapon in the screen game yet either. So anything the Jets can do during this time to round out his game and make him a viable receiver on an NFL field, which they're starting to show a little bit of signs of, is really, really positive. Because if he's just a guy out there that is really fast and teams know that and they play him like, hey, we're not going to let you get over the top of me, and I know you're not going to finish a lot of plays in a contested situation, we can play you a certain way. But when they start to play you that way, you could eat up space underneath and you are fast. So catch the ball and get upfield and protect the football. Fumbles is another thing. We've seen that in camp a little bit too that you got to be wary of. So baby steps, but good steps for Arian Smith. Lazard and Reynolds, which ironically on that Braylon Allen big run, they were both out there making blocks on the play. So Reynolds can handle Lazard's closer to the line of scrimmage kind of blocking role, but I think the Jets liked having both of them as blockers. Yeah. So wide receiver is though, Tyler Johnson is a high-ish floor or adequate floor possession receiver. So he'll be on this team and probably out there. Lazard and Reynolds, they like as big-bodied blockers, and it's Garrett. Yeah. After that, you're just looking at special teams or developmental players. That's really it. And Arian Smith hopefully can go from developmental player to serviceable role player, but we just need to take these baby steps that we're going through right now.
They kind of have like this like clone model where Brandon Smith and Skinner are clones of each other. Reynolds and Lazard are clones of each other. Gibson and Pritchard are clones of each other.
That's right.
And it's like, let's get one from each of these pairings.
It makes Tyler Johnson look so shiny and new.
Just like
it's
a normal
hey,
NFL
we actually
receiver.
like this.
Yeah, he's like the most normal receiver on the team, which is like fine. And listen, I'm ready to be. We get a couple of comments here. They're all like Aaron Smith's making you guys eat your words. Like, well, it's early.
I really hope we didn't get those comments.
Like, I'll also say this. Certainly at this phase of our career and this age of our fandom, nothing would make me happier than to be skeptical about a signing or a player and to be wrong. Because I can tell you we've been on the other end of it where I just speaking for myself, I was really excited when the Jets drafted Devin Smith and I was wrong, right? He was not that guy. I was excited when they drafted Shaq Evans and he was not that guy. Like I'm talking about middle round receivers. Every Jet fan, go back and look, was excited when they drafted Chad Hansen and he was mossing people in minicamp and he's going to be the next guy. And none of these guys panned out. Denzel Mims, I could go on and on and on. Elijah Moore, which we were excited about as a rookie. So we're ready for one of these guys to just be like, oh, he's pretty good. Like, and like if we were wrong and he should have actually been a 4th round pick, that would be awesome and make the Jets offense a lot more open and make everyone's life a lot more easy.
What I always say to people is, because I'm like, if you want to be mad at me, that's fine. I'm not. The job I do, I have to like, I will miss on many players. That's the numbers game.
I don't 200 plus of them drafted every year.
I don't have any problem with that at all. But what I always tell people is, a good way to look at it too is the consensus board. If the draft community had somebody 100 plus spots later than he went, history tells us that all of those evaluations will end up being right more often than the team that took the outlier. There's a couple that end up being right, and hopefully this is one where the Jets are right. We all really, really want the Jets to hit on some outliers because they never do. Yes. So that would be nice.
We are so goddamn overdue. All right, CR. Let's face it. Being a Jets fan means knowing what it's like to almost have it figured out every single season. But when it comes to your financial future, you don't want to leave it up to a busted play or luck. That's where Dynasty Connect comes in matching you up with a top-tier financial advisor who knows how to win for you consistently. Well, sign up for one of our consultations today. Now, why I'm dropping this in here is because we're incredibly excited that Dynasty is partnering with us for our live show on August 23rd. I'm going to put a link in the bio here with some more information about Dynasty. I went through one of their testimonials myself. I own a small business. I have a job. I have a house. I have 3 kids. I have a headache saying all of that. Bills. Yeah. So talking to them and going through their process I actually found incredibly helpful. And what's even better to boot is that if you click on the form that we're going to link here, you're going to be eligible to win Jets Bucks suite tickets that we will be raffling off or competing off in Jets Jeopardy at our live show on August 23rd. So about the coolest thing we've ever given away. It's going to include hotels. Like this is like as good as it gets early in the season, warm weather in the suite with the hotel, and legitimately like a good, useful product for anyone who's in like me and Connor's age demographic or anything around it, where getting that, connect and that financial advice, and you'll be able to read a little more about it when you click through, is highly beneficial. So we're really excited to be working with Dynasty. We'll share more information in the Discord. We'll share more information below in the episode description, and make sure to sign up and check it out. And you'll hear us working through similar stories in the coming weeks as we're going to be partnering with them for the rest of this month. With all that talk of the Discord, we're going to answer some Discord questions now, because in War Room, we're just going to go old school radio podcast practice review. This one from Rich McLeod, we'll start with. If Corley gets cut by the end of camp, which seems pretty likely, is he the worst wide receiver the Jets have ever drafted? 3 catches, 16 yards, 1 fumble loss, 0 touchdowns, and 9 games cut before year 2. Also, he's drafted, in the 3rd round. We don't want to compare him
to, cost matters, but that's not nothing. It's not a throwaway pick.